So we mentioned that we're going to discuss when the Prophet ﷺ comes to Al-Madinah, how many years Ashura was actually obligatory. First of all, this discussion needs information that needs verification. As you will hear that some of the information cannot be verified. But anyway, the Prophet ﷺ, he made the hijrah and he came to Al-Madinah in Rabiul Awwal. So the first year, Rabiul Awwal, was after Muharram. So the first year, there was no obligation of Muharram there. So when the Prophet ﷺ came, he, in the second year Muharram time, he figured out that the Jews are fasting this day. So when he heard that they're fasting, he asked them, as we have the hadith, authentic hadith inshallah. And when they told them the reason, the Prophet obligated the fasting by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what we understand. So which means that the Ashura was obligatory in the second year, right? In the second year, Ashura became obligatory. Okay. Then when was Ramadan obligated? Now the Ahlul Siyar, the people of the Sirah, the ulama of the Sirah, they are agreed upon that Siyam, fasting of Ramadan, was obligated in the second Hijri year. But there is nothing authentic, no authentic hadith which we can depend on and say that for sure. Let's say that this information is correct, that fasting of Ramadan was obligated in the second Hijri year. If it is so, then how many years Ashura was obligatory? Huh? 1 year. Second year was the first year he obligated, and that was the only year it was the obligation was there. Then the second year, Kasi Muharram, Safar, then Ramadan comes. Ramadan became obligatory, Ashura became optional. So from next year, the third year onward, Ashura was optional. Now this is depending on if the information that the second year Ramadan became obligatory is correct. As we said, we do not have any authentic evidence. Wallahu alam. And this is what Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam al-Ethiopi and many of the scholars, their conclusion is that Ashura was only obligatory for 1 year. Then the most important question comes is that how to fast the Ashura the best way. First of all, Ashura is optional fasting, not obligatory. But as you can see that it has a very rich history. The history is what? This is the day Allah has protected Musa alayhi salam, and Musa alayhi salam used to fast this day, and the Prophet ﷺ used to fast this day. And also, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the reward of the Ashura is how much? The forgiveness of the previous year of sin, right? This is, and you know that Arafah is basically 2 years, 1 year before, 1 year after. Anyway, then we have the hadith of our Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, "O Prophet of Allah, the Jews and the Christians, they venerate this day." Okay, so the Jews, as you know, that they took this day as a day of celebration. And said they used to do other things than fasting, like cook food, buying maybe clothes for their family, etc. etc. But the Prophet ﷺ, when they asked him, he forbade everything. He said, "You only fast." And that shows that if there is a special day, a special moment, what to do that special day and moment is also has to be legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot legislate things. If we do, then it will be a bid'ah. For example, 10th of Muharram is a very special day. 10th of Muharram, let's say that I tell you, let's brothers, it's a great day, blessed day, let's come to the masjid and recite Quran. Recite Quran. Is it going to be good? Why not? Reciting Quran. As long as ayahs, why ayahs? This is because the Prophet didn't legislate recitation of Quran for the 10th of Muharram. However, is the 10th of Muharram, I have time to recite Quran. Can I recite Quran? Or is also bid'ah? Yes. As long as we do the good deeds on the 10th of Muharram, not because it is 10th of Muharram, but it is just we have time, we do it. I have time, I will cook food, I'll give it to the poor people. I have time, I'll invite the people and do some khidmah for them. They're fasting, so I'm going to help them break their fast. Is this something bid'ah or not correct? It is not bid'ah. It is good. Unless we legislate it. You understand what the legislation is or not? Okay. Now we will discuss something. So when they said about the veneration of the Jews and the Christians, the Prophet ﷺ said to Abdullah ibn Abbas, if I live next year, I'm going to fast the 9th. I'm going to fast the 9th. But the Prophet ﷺ died. Before the next Muharram, he died. So he never fasted the 9th. Okay? But now, what is the Sunnah? We know that the Sunnah, the definition of Sunnah is the Prophet's statements, Prophet's action, of course Prophet's description, khalqiyya wa khuluqiyya, his physical description, his moral description is also Sunnah, and also his intention, or what he approved. These are all his Sunnah. Okay? So the Prophet's intention was what? To fast the 9th, but he could never fast it. To be different, and he wanted to be different than the Jews and the Christians. They fast the 10th, the Prophet told us to add the 9th. Is adding the 9th obligation? Not an obligation. All of this is highly recommended. So the best way to fast is the 9th and the 10th. But if somebody cannot fast the 9th, is it okay for him to fast the 10th? Absolutely okay. Absolutely okay to fast the 10th. Now there is a hadith which is reported by Imam Ibn Khuzaymah and also Imam Ahmad rahmatullahi alayh, on the authority of a narrator called Muhammad ibn Abdurrahman ibn Abi Layla, who reported from a narrator called, I believe, Dawood ibn Abdullah al-Qurashi, reported from his father, from Abdullah ibn Abbas, that the Prophet ﷺ said, be different from the Jews, fast a day before or a day after. This is a very famous hadith that many scholars they quote. Okay? However, the chain of narration is very weak, because Muhammad ibn Abdurrahman ibn Abi Layla, Sayyi'ul Hifz. Muhammad ibn Abdurrahman ibn Abi Layla has a story. His father, Abdurrahman ibn Abi Layla, Thiqatun Thabtun. From the Tabi'i, one of the Hujjah of Al-Islam, Hujjah of the Hadith. And Muhammad ibn Abdurrahman ibn Abi Layla, he was also a faqih. He was the Qadi of Kufa. So he was a big shot. But memory-wise, he was completely messed up. Not his fault. You tell him something in the morning, he forgets it in the evening. What can you do? Memory is a tawfiq from Allah, gift from Allah, right? Also his brother Isa ibn Abdurrahman ibn Abi Layla, Thiqatun Thabtun. But he was the one poor guy was tagged as to be Sayyi'ul Hifz. Okay? But some of the scholars, there's something called authenticating with shawahid, with supporting evidence. They tried to say that the hadith is Hasan li ghayrihi, and this is where the problem started. So that they started saying you can fast a day before and day after and be different from the Jews. However, the hadith is very weak. We have, of course, the mawquf narration of Abdullah ibn Abbas, which is Sahih, reported by Abdul Razak in his Musannaf, and also Tahawi, and Al-Bayhaqi reported on the authority of Ibn Jurayj and Ata and Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He said, Sumu tase wal ashir wa khalif al-Yahud. Fast the 9th and the 10th and be different from the Jews. This is the statement of mawquf, means it is not marfu, meaning it is not connected to the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? But yet he didn't say fast the day before or day after. He talked about 9th and 10th. It's a statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas. As from the Prophet ﷺ, we have the intention. He wanted to do that. He didn't command anybody to do this. He wanted to do that. This is his sunnah. So now we understand all the whole picture, and we say that 10th is enough. 10th by itself is enough. Because some people, they freak out. Oh, I heard that you have to couple it. No, you don't have to couple it. But if you couple it, which one you will couple with? Okay, what if I couple with 11th? Problem? Huh? No problem. I do 10th and 11th, not a problem? Huh? Problem? Anis bhai. Big problem. Always problem, Anis bhai. Okay, inshallah, Anis bhai is correct. Tell me why is problem. Huh? Huh? Excellent. The Prophet intended 9th to be different. That why are you saying 10th and 11th should be correct?
No.
Sorry,
no. I have. So see, assuming the 10th is assuming is a Sunday, you fast. Monday you fast like habitual.
No. My question was very. You are not trying to different colors. No, I said 10th. No. Okay, go step by step. I'm coming to that. 10th and 11th to be different than the Jews, correct? Going to be bidah? It's going to be bidah.
Of course, that's going to be.
When I'm talking about coupling, I'm not talking about your. Okay, I fast the 10th. Can I fast the 11th?
If you want to fast for the Rajasthan,
No? Why not? Why not?
It's not coupling.
Huh?
It's not the intention of the sunnah.
No, I'm not coupling. I want to fast the 11th. I cannot fast?
No, you can fast.
Why? Why you said you can? First you said you cannot.
No, I'm confused. What's the question?
Okay. I fasted the 10th. Now I want to fast the 11th. Can I do that?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
No, who said no? Okay, no. Why? Because?
Nobody did it.
Huh?
Nobody did it.
Okay. Very good. So you have to remember that fasting of the Muharram, we'll start from the beginning. Fasting of the Muharram is what kind of fasting? The best of the optional fasting. Okay. So 11th is not one of the day of Muharram? It is? Okay. Why can't I fast?
Because it was never done.
No, but we have the general hadith. Okay. No. Let's go step by step. The general, remember the first hadith we discussed, Abu Hurairah's hadith? The Prophet ﷺ said the best fasting after the fasting of Ramadan is the Shahrullah al-Muharram. Okay. When the Prophet said Shahrullah al-Muharram, did he elevate 11th? Or 11th is part of it? Part of it. So if I want to fast the 11th, because it is one of the day of Muharram, is it bidah or sunnah? Huh? It is sunnah. Because the statement is general. But now the question is, can I couple it with the 10th to be? Can I couple it with the 10th to be different than the Jews? Now it's a bidah. The intention, as the brother said, the intention changes everything. Okay, another example. Isn't Monday a great day? This is the day the Prophet was born. This is the day was Quran was revealed for him. This is the day that many good things happened. Monday. Okay. So the Prophet used to fast Monday, right? Can I recite Quran on Monday? Huh? I can. Can I do any good deeds on Monday? Okay. Now the question is different. Can I recite Quran because it is Monday? Now it's a bit. You understand now? So the same rule applies to the 11th of Muharram. If you are fasting 11th of Muharram because it's one of the day of Muharram, khalas, you have the statement. Unless 11th of Muharram now coincided with Saturday. It's another big problem. If you believe that it is, like we understand it is not allowed, if it's optional, then you shouldn't do it, yes.
So according to the hadith da'if, we cannot go by it,
Yeah.
cannot go by the fast before or after.
So the hadith of the 9th coupling with the 10th and 10th coupling with 11th, hadith is da'if, very weak.
So we cannot take.
We cannot take this hadith as an evidence, right? So when it comes to coupling, the only coupling is allowed 9th and 10th. 10th and 11th, bidah. Clear, inshallah? Because if the hadith is da'if, we cannot make the hukum of the hadith, it will be bidah then, right? Right, for example, somebody comes and says, after the prayer, you should recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad 5 times. Somebody comes and tells us. So we say, what is the hadith? He mentioned the hadith, and the hadith is fabricated. Huh? So we tell him, no, the hadith is fabricated. Now if I recite Qul Huwallahu 5 times, it will be bidah. Right? Similarly here, the hadith is da'if. One of the narrators, Sayyi'ul Hifz. The other one, Dawud ibn Abdullah al-Qurashi, he is, although he is thiqa, but kana yukhti. He makes mistakes. So there is two problems in the chain. So for Shaykh Albani and many of the ulama, they say the hadith is da'if. Not authentic. But the 11th has no problem fasting by itself because it's one of the days of Muharram. So as long as we are not coupling, fine. Fast it, inshallah.
Intention is different.
Intention is now different, completely different. Intention makes a big deal. Like for example, I prayed the Isha now. If I prayed this Isha as a nafal, will the prayer be accepted? I did everything like you did. The Imam did. But will the prayer be accepted? It will not be accepted. Because I prayed it as nafal, not fard. So the intention basically changes the whole thing upside down. Make sense, inshallah? Okay. I believe I covered everything that is most important. Do you have any other questions? Yes, sir.
Can I combine intentions? Like I make up a day of Ramadan and
fast Ashura with the intention of fasting Ashura?
The question is, can we combine intention, like, for example, I'm fasting the day of Ashura. At the same time, I consider this fasting a make-up fasting of Ramadan. There is nothing in the religion, where the Prophet ﷺ allowed or he did combine two intention in one action. Some of the ulama, they said, yes, you can. They said that. Like, for example, the 6 days of Shawwal, you will hear big scholar, they said, can I fast the one of the days of Shawwal, at the same time consider this to be my option, like makeup? They said, yes, you can. No proof for this. Either you do this one, that one. Because the fasting of Ashura is optional, and making up the fasting of Ramadan is obligatory. So the two intentions are completely different, and you cannot combine them. Now, some of the scholars, they say that when we come to the masjid, we are not allowed to sit unless we pray 2 rakat. So they say you came to the masjid and you prayed your 2 rakat sunnah of Fajr, for example. Do you have to pray another 2 rakat? They say, no, you don't have to, because you already fulfilled the condition that is mentioned in the hadith. Don't sit down until you pray 2 rakat. Some of the ulama, they understood this to be what? Combining two intention in one. So they said, so I combined the sunnat of Fajr intention with the dukhul in masjid. No, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. You prayed the sunnat of Fajr. But with that 2 rakat of the prayer, you have fulfilled the obligation of praying 2 rakat. So the condition is met. Now, if you, after that you say, I want to pray 2 more rakat to be the dukhul in masjid, you can do that. That's not a problem. But is it obligatory for me? Not obligatory. But again, this topic, is it obligatory when we come to the masjid to pray 2 rakat before we sit down? Vast majority of the scholars, they said it is optional. Okay? The minority, they said it is obligatory, and the correct opinion is it is obligatory, because the hadith is clear about it. Yes?
But in the same thing, but after Asr.
Huh?
Same thing after Asr. Is it obligatory to pray 2 rak'at, but in that time, after Asr?
He's talking
like
about after Asr.
the
The
prohibited
prohibited times where you are not supposed to pray.
The prohibited times, we need to have a separate discussion about it, because there is some disagreement and there is some confusion also. As for Asr, there is no prohibited time whatsoever. No prohibited time. Okay, inshallah, but we are going to discuss those topic in maybe another class, because I can't right at this point put everything together, inshallah. Yeah. But anytime the Prophet forbade us to pray, like for example when the sun is rising, the sun is setting. This is very clear hadith. We are not supposed to pray, right? At the time of Zawal, yes. In those times, if there is a reason for us to pray, no problem. For example, somebody woke up at the time of sunrise. The sun is rising and he didn't pray Fajr or she didn't pray Fajr. Can they pray Fajr at that time? Yes. Somebody entered the masjid at the prohibited time that they are not supposed to pray usually. Can they pray 2 rakat of the dukhul in masjid? Yes. Can they pray salat al-istikhara? Yes. Because for this there is a reason. So what is prohibited? Prohibited are those prayer which is like, you don't have any reason but you just want to pray nafal. Just nafal. No reason in the sunnah, no reason whatsoever. Now it is prohibited. But if there is a reason, alhamdulillah, then like you made wudu and it is a time of prohibition. Can you pray 2 rakat if it is your ada? Yes, you can. All of this is inshallah allowed.
So I can pray Sunnah Fajr while the sun is rising?
Yes, you can. Yes. You can pray Sunnah of Fajr after. Some of the ulama, they said after Fajr prayer because of the hadith. They said you wait until the sunrise, then give it some time, then you pray the Sunnah of the Fajr. But the correct position is you can. You miss the Sunnah al-Fajr before praying, before the Fajr prayer. After Fajr prayer, you can just immediately get up and pray Sunnah al-Fajr. Some people will prohibit you, so you understand why they are doing that, because of the hadith and because of the opinion of the scholars. Inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan, barakallahu fik, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu.